every man needs his shed. And this is my shed. Okay. Cue shed. That's better. Okay. What I intend to do is to look around the other garden, which is smaller than the first one we looked at, but a whole different nature. It's a little bit more messy, needs a little bit more work, and that's a part of the motivation for doing these sets of videos. Now I will show you how I'm going to tackle the first part of it and program out the rest of it for the rest of the winter, I think, ready for the spring. So that means doing some weeding, some clearing up, some planting even in October, and I'll be covering that as well.
Well, it's a jolly blustery day, and this is the other courtyard garden, which I need to work on quite desperately. There's quite a lot to do here, but first of all I'd like to show you around. For example, over here we have the soft fruit bed, which has loganberries, raspberries and black currants. Just here I have a blueberry bush, which is in its pot of its own because it needs ericaceous soil, and we can't mix the two. But that's another job I must do. And around it I've started a herb garden, which I'll tell you about in a minute. Just behind us, well, just in front of me, behind you, where you're looking, are a couple of beds. One already has something growing in it. Can't see it anything because it's only been just put in, and the other one has just finished growing and it's just a weed patch at the moment, so that's a job to be done. A compost bin over there, a cold frame over there, and just behind me there is some brassicas, some purple sprouting. I had to think about that one. That's it, I think. And just over there we've got a bit of a pond. It's a real mess. So there's lots of jobs to be done on this garden. It is a mess, and it could be quite a nice garden if I just put my mind to it, which is part of the reason for making this video. So off we go then, and I'll show you what's happening. One of my first jobs I think I need to do is to weed this patch here, which is getting a bit unkempt, I think. So off we go, and we'll have a tidy of that.
Under the fleece I have sown several onions and, closest to the camera, some cloves of garlic. They'll overwinter, and hopefully I will have a crop later into next year. The fleece also keeps out cats, as well as keeping the soil warm. This needs a little bit more work. It's got choked with weeds, and so here we go. We're going to clear this patch now. Chicken pellets will help fertilise the soil here. Well-rotted compost also helps to fertilise the soil. Finally, rake that in before we introduce the winter cabbage. We have some winter cabbage, which comes in this form here, all wrapped up in a piece of
elastic band with paper around the bottom, and that's what we have. So what we're going to do is deeply root those.
I can't stress enough that when you're gardening, the most important thing, that after you've done the gardening, you gotta wash your hands. Now, I work in an industry where clean hands is exceptionally important. Now, I've got really grubby hands. Now, lots of cats around here, nasty creatures, lovable but nasty. They leave their calling cards, and there's certainly some in that garden there. So I'm going to wash my hands thoroughly now, and this is going to be a boring bit, I know, and this is how it's done. Right, step number 1, remove watches. And that's not because you don't want to get your watch wet. It's much more than that. When washing hands, you need to get right up to your wrists. Running water, a squeeze of soap. And I stress running water. Right, good old hand, right up to the wrists, around there, and right up there. Now I'm going to have to give myself several hand cleans because they've got really, really filthy. Now, one of the things you need to do is, if you look at the nursing things in hospitals, they say rub between your fingers, rub each finger. Alright. Now, soap doesn't actually get rid of any of the bugs or the bacteria. What they do is they coat them in a slimy substance called soap. And when you put your hand underneath the water, they wash off. Now look, that's not enough because I've got soil on them, and soil is a breeding ground for all sorts of nasty pathogens, you see. And so I'm going to wash my hands again. They are much cleaner than they were, but again, we're going to give our hands a jolly good wash. Up to the wrists, fingers, palms. There we go, that's not enough. This water's getting a little bit too hot to bear. Put it underneath the cold tap, simply because I can't bear the hot water now. There we go. Now then, are they clean? No. Why? Still got dirt in my nails. So, clean the nails. I must say that nails are a great place to harbour all sorts of nasty bacteria. And it's quite important that you try and clean it all the way around the nails, especially if you're after, if you're one for picking up fruit or chocolate, hand-to-mouth stuff. You're going to put all that in your mouth. Now, you need to eat a peck of dirt before you die, but hey, what's wrong with a bit of hygiene once in a while? There you have it. That's the first of the programmes for this month, October. So I can see I've got my work cut out for me for November, December, January, February and so on. And most of that during the winter will be a good tidy up of the garden and preparation for the spring. In fact, I'm quite looking forward to it in some ways, because when a garden is successful, it's great fun. It's very rewarding. But I'm also predicting, like I have every year, that a lot of the crops will be chomped away by creatures that I don't want, in particularly the slugs, and I can assure you they're that big. Well, that's enough from me. I hope you join me for next month's City Courtyard Gardens.